listening to the Cycling Podcast Féminin, brought to you by iwoca. Flexible loans built for small businesses. Join 50,000 customers taking on life's twists and turns and scaling new heights with iwoca. If you run a business, find out more at iwoca.co.uk. That's iwoca.co.uk.
Hello, my name's Richard Moore. I'm with Rose Manley.
Hello, Richard.
And Orla Chennaoui.
Hello, both.
For this December.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Woo!
End of year
Ching, ching. That's
episode
like sleigh bells. Ching, ching.
of the Cycling Podcast Féminin. Discipline is broken down already. Rose has got her Christmas hat on.
That's beautiful. It's Christmas hairband. It's a little elf Christmas hairband.
Here we are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Dashing through the snow. Anyway, we've got lots to get through tonight, but we're most excited about the Christmas quiz that Rose has devised for the end of tonight's podcast. It could be quite chunky, I think. Rose, have you put a lot of work into this?
I'm going to say I haven't put any work into it, so when it fails on its arse, I don't
Nonsense.
I've wasted so much time.
I know that's not true.
We've been told only the name so far of one of the rounds, and
yes.
it sounds brilliant. But that's all we know.
So
yeah.
that'll
It'll
be humiliation for Orla and me at the end of this episode.
I thought you were going to leave it at just humiliation for Orla. I was going to get my back up but actually
it might be the end of the Cycling Podcast Féminin in its current format. Rose will be back next year.
Yeah, that's what I've completely planned it as a
plan.
big career
She's
coup.
ousting
That's what I
us.
planned it for. Swooping in to be that lead presenter.
Yeah. Rose will be back with her
What
new
you've always
team
wanted.
In 2021. Anyway, we've got big news about the future of Drops, a team that we've followed from the start of the Cycling Podcast Féminin. We're about the same age as them, and we've followed their ups and downs, and some really exciting news. They have sponsorship, and it's a real achievement in a pandemic year to have secured the team's future for at least the next couple of years. So we'll hear all about that in the part that follows the news roundup. We've got interviews with Ashley Moolman-Passio and Gracie Elvin, and we'll hear from some of the Drops squad as well. And then, of course, Rose's quiz. But first, do we have a news roundup, please, Orla?
We do indeed. No more Women's World Tour racing, of course, but we have had track, cyclocross and Zwift racing, believe it or not. The latter getting a mention because we've had our first ever UCI Esports World Championships. The UCI becoming the first sports governing body to sanction a World Esports Championships. And the inaugural winner is Ashley Moolman-Passio, who you just mentioned, Richard. She took her first virtual rainbow bands on her 35th birthday, no less. On the track, we have had the European Championships with Anastasia Voyanova of Russia winning the sprint. I'll just run through all the goals. Britain's Eleanor Barker taking the elimination race. GB also won the team pursuit. They took wins in the individual pursuit with Nea Evans, and the points race as well with Katie Archibald. It was a win for Elisa Balsamo over Laura Kenny in the Omnium. The Ukrainians Olena Starakova won the Kieran. The 500 metre time trial went to Russia's Daria Shmeleva, and Italy are the European Marathon champions with another title for Balsamo and her teammate Vittoria Guazzini. Staying with the track, the Australian four-time world champion Stephanie Morton has announced that she is retiring from cycling. On to cyclocross, and Lucinda Brand took the opening round of the World Cup over world champion Carmen Alvarado, with Zoe Backstead winning the junior race. Brand has had a hugely successful cross season so far, actually, but she did get into a bit of trouble in Bohm, where she won, but was issued a fine for throwing her bike in front of Alvarado in the pits when they went in for a bike change, throwing her off her stride. So Brand did then wait for Alvarado to rejoin before attacking for the win and apologised afterwards, but she was fined all the same. But she's had a great season so far. Speaking of apologies, though, something we're probably going to delve into a little bit here during the news roundup, but after Chloe Dygart apologised for what has become infamous social media activity a month ago when she signed for Canyon SRAM, who had also then at the same time issued a statement on the matter, Rafa, who sponsor the team, have since made their own statement. So let's rewind ourselves back a little bit for anyone listening who isn't totally across the situation. So Dygart had liked certain comments on Twitter, something that's usually done, of course, when you agree with the tweet. The tweets were, firstly, one stating white privilege doesn't exist. Another that suggested Colin Kaepernick, the American football player who's probably best known for his stance of taking a knee during the US national anthem in protest against racial inequality, and who, importantly for this bit, settled in a collusion case against the NFL. The tweet said that he had realised that if he grew an afro and played the part of victim, he could scam the black community out of millions. So she liked that tweet as well. And finally, there's a tweet which referenced President Trump's proposal to allow single-sex homeless shelters to refuse transgender people, saying men who self-identify as women are not actually women, just as children who self-identify as mermaids are not actually fish. Now, those two posts are no longer liked by Dygart, and as I say, she and Canyon SRAM did issue statements. Dygart said that she apologised to those who felt offended or hurt by her conduct, rather than apologising for the conduct itself. The team said they were committed to regular training and support. But in its statement, Rafa said that Dygart's apology wasn't enough. They said, since we became aware of this incident, we've taken time to fully investigate what happened, consulting with the rider, Canyon SRAM and other partners in order to take informed action in response. Having undergone that process, we believe that Chloe has made very serious errors of judgment, which were compounded by an apology she issued that was not sufficient. However, they said, we also believe that trusting the ability of people to change is key to reaching any form of meaningful reconciliation. Having spoken to her at length, we believe that Chloe has the capacity and the will to listen, learn and to change. Now, the action by Chloe Dygart on social media, the fact that she'd apologised for any offence caused rather than the conduct, and the phrasing of both the team and Rafa has caused an awful lot of controversy in itself, hasn't it?
There was a similar, not dissimilar situation with Quinn Simmons, the young male rider. In that situation, he's employed by Trek Segafredo, and if they take a dim view of that, they can take action. They did suspend him. You know, this is a little bit different in the sense that Chloe Dygart was signed subsequent to this social media activity. It might not have been familiar to her new team, but it was a bit odd to be, it's a bit like getting married in the hopes that you'll change your partner. I'd like to know what Chloe Dygart actually thinks. I'd like to know what her views are, because we're doing a lot of second guessing, aren't we? Or making assumptions, naturally enough, from things that she's liked on social media. It would be good, and maybe we can try and organise this in the new year to actually speak to her and find out what her views are on some of these things. And it's a fascinating kind of world that young athletes are living in now, isn't it? Because, when you look at Chloe Dygart and Quinn Simmons and the age they are, they've lived through their formative years in a time of huge kind of political change and turbulence, when views that 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago would have been considered unacceptable have been normalised. And so, if you grow up in that sort of environment, then I'm not surprised that some young athletes feel emboldened to express views that lots of other people are expressing too.
I think it's kind of completely, obviously, I think all three of us completely disagree with the things that Chloe Dygart was liking and trying to bring exposure to in any way. But I do think it's kind of a little bit odd to be, for the team to sign her and for obviously Rafa to give their backing to the team and then to put out a statement. Is kind of like the biggest statement would have been, if you really felt strongly about it, to pull your funding from the team, for me. I think it's a bit of an odd reaction to want to just issue a statement where it gives a little bit of distance between you and an athlete that you are effectively financially supporting, and you're allowing your business to support and be written all over her jersey. For me, it's kind of like a bit of an odd balance that they've got going on there.
And I don't think we can suggest that Canyon SRAM couldn't have been aware of these tweets whenever they signed her. We can give benefit of the doubt, of course, but if anybody in the team is across anything that's happening in cycling, it was a big deal was made out of both Chloe and Quinn on social media, on Twitter in particular, and I think it was impossible to ignore. The problem with this is that everyone wants to have their cake and eat it, don't they? Because Chloe Dygert is a hugely talented rider who is talented without riding on the Women's World Tour yet, so she's also got incredible potential going forward. And it's always difficult whenever athletes are expected to be role models. However, if you are putting yourself on social media, you have to be aware that there are consequences of it. And people talk about freedom of speech, seemingly forgetting that freedom of speech comes with a counterbalance, which is responsibility for that freedom of speech and accountability for that freedom of speech. It's not simply screaming into the ether. And I think that's a difficult lesson for Chloe Dygert to have to learn. My worry would be, maybe not worry, but I guess the simple thing for her to do is get on with riding her bike, and this is where we all get into trouble sometimes on Twitter whenever this is different, but if we're expressing political views. Now, none of us hold political views that are extreme in any way, but, even if you're going to pro-Brexit, anti-Brexit, whatever, that generally doesn't come down to racism. It doesn't come down to much more fundamental human rights issues. But that's the difficulty with athletes. I think they need to know why they are in the public eye, what their role is in the public eye, and what their job is. And I think the difficulty with this was thinking, I've got a public platform and so I can use it any which way I like. And that's not really how the social contract works, but maybe that's beyond sport. But it's difficult when they're young and they are in the public eye and don't appreciate the full context of all of that, I think, and the reflection it is on any team. Having said that, as you say, Richard, she was signed after all of this. So she had no responsibility to certainly Canyon SRAM or Rafa at that time.
We don't want to spend too long on this, but it's funny, isn't it? Because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you are a team that signed her, had another team signed her and not said anything about it and not made it an issue, I'm not sure we wouldn't be talking about it, would we?
Yeah, is it better, is it worse? Anyway, as you say, we don't want to spend too long on this. We've got lots and lots to get through.
Well, we want to speak to her about it, I think. That's the answer, isn't it?
Let's phone her up right now.
Okay.
Put her on the spot, yes. Well, let's try. We'll throw that out to the podcast sphere and see what comes bouncing back in 2021. Probably to be continued then in that case with that story rather than putting it to bed. But we will move on to other team news now. Former pro Lars Bak is reported to be heading up a new women's team under the Norwegian Uno X banner for 2022, hoping to head directly to the UCI Women's World Tour. The Dane has been named as general manager for the new women's team, and we understand it's been reported rather, that he'll spend 2021 hiring riders and staff. The Astana women's team will have Mexican backing in 2021 after losing its Kazakh sponsor. Team will merge with a Fideporte mountain bike team run by Alejandro and Luis Rodriguez, with title sponsorship also coming from the financial company Monex, and it will be known as AR Monex Women's Pro Cycling Team. Nearly done with the roundup, but equal quotas in men's and women's road races at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Finally, we've got 90 riders each. We've got full gender parity across all the disciplines in cycling. So 90 riders each in the men's and the women's. For men, that means they're down from 130. For women, it's up from 67. And that in itself caused a bit of a fuss. But anyway. And then finally, we had the Velodor Awards, which is basically the Ballon d'Or for cycling. It's voted for by a jury of international cycling journalists, considered to be the most prestigious cycling prize, and it's awarded to the best cyclist of the year. Now, this year, only 2 women were on that list, Anna Vanderbregen and Pauline from Prevot, and the winner was Primoz Roglic. He came out on top and accumulated 83 points from the different journalists. Tadej Pogacar was in second with 57 points. Wout van Aert was close behind that. Julian Alaphilippe on 43 points in fourth, and Anna Vanderbregen finally made it onto the list on number 5 with just under half the number of points in the voting system as Julian Alaphilippe. Discuss.
What would your top 3 have been, Orla?
Well, it would have been between Roglic and Anna Vanderbregen, but she would have been first or second for absolute certain. I think probably, I don't know who my third would have been, actually. For me, it would have been those top 2.
Rose, what would have been your top 3?
Probably Anna and Roglic and Van Aert, I would have said. But, I mean, my thing with these things are they're just so completely subjective. It's like Sports Personality of the Year awards. The criteria on which someone picks someone is just completely random, isn't it? It's like, do you like their riding style? Do you like their personality? I mean, all of that feeds into it.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly is random, because when you look at the fact that Vanderbregen finished 5th after becoming double world champion and European champion and winning the nationals, I mean, and the Giro Rosa, of course, the premier women's stage race, and to finish 5th, I think, to me, unfortunately, it would say, really, and not to disparage our esteemed colleagues, I think some cycling journalists have to watch more women's racing, truly, and I'm not saying that to be flippant. They have to pay more attention to women's racing.
I mean, I think it's more, though, that because there are some amazing journalists that work just in the women's sphere. There's plenty of them, but it's just that they are not also in that jury for the Velodor. So the issue is there's plenty of great, and I don't think that every journalist, I mean, I think actually we three are kind of rare in that we do both men's cycling and women's cycling and give both of them, do a lot of them in equal measure. But I think that the fact is that the jury that voted for this award, they're all, esteemed journalists, but are they really going to vote with any confidence on a female rider that they haven't paid any attention to whatsoever because they work almost totally in the men's cycling sphere?
Yeah, but then shouldn't they be composing the jury differently? Don't we?
Oh, yeah,
that's what I mean.
Absolutely.
That's probably a better way of saying what I meant, which was they need people on that jury who pay attention to women's cycling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it discredits the award, really.
I think one of the things we love about cycling is that randomness and the fact that it can never be an objective. There's no scientific formula for this at all. Even within men's cycling, it's very hard to compare Wout van Aert with Primož Roglič, because they're doing different things. They've got different skills, and you can't just say that, put certain races above others, because it's also the way that people ride, and it is an emotional decision at the end of the day, I think. I mean, that whenever any kind of science is applied to it, or there's an attempt to apply science to it. For example, last year the world's #1 ranked female rider was Lorena Wiebes, and Annemiek van Vleuten would have been my winner of the Velodor last year, I think. And I think...
And she wasn't then either.
Well, no, but...
So wear your heart on your sleeve then, if it's emotional. Who would your top 3 be?
My top 3, I think, would have been Roglič, Van Aert.
As number 1?
Yeah, Roglič, Van Aert, Vanderbregen. And
Van Aert is number 2?
Yeah, and Roglič, because again, it's the emotional. If Roglič had won the Tour, I don't think he'd be number 1 for me. I'm sort of.
If he'd won the Tour, he probably wouldn't have won the Vuelta.
Well,
so
that's true. Or Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Yeah. So. Yeah. So, but it was the character he showed in losing the Tour that makes me want to put him on that pedestal as the best rider of the year, because there's more to being the best rider than just winning races in a very clinical, cold fashion. And I think for the one, I think Wout van Aert won all that he could pretty much, and did much else besides. And I suppose the one question for me about Anna van der Breggen this year was, the Giro win wouldn't have happened if Annemiek van Vleuten hadn't crashed. So there's that kind of little shadow over it.
And also the time trial, women's.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Van Vleuten at her very best might have been the rider who actually won the Giro, the World Time Trial, and the World Road Race.
Well, even the Chloe Dygert crashing in that.
Chloe Dygert would probably have won the time trial.
Can I suggest that this is possibly more consideration that was given to Anna van der Breggen's chances for being number 1 than would have happened in the Velodor jury?
Yeah, but on the point of the point you make about not watching enough women's cycling, that's true, and it's true for me as well. I saw far more of the Tour de France than I saw of the Giro Rosa. And had I been able to watch the whole Giro Rosa in the way that I watched the Tour, I may have been left with, because this is a sort of unconscious bias as well that's formed by what you're exposed to. And because you're there with the Tour, you live it, you're left with a much more powerful impression of it than I am of following the Giro Rosa from more of a distance.
I agree on that sense, as from a personal point of view, which bleeds into professional, but I've sat on juries like this before, and I don't judge entirely with my heart, because you can't. You have to be aware of the responsibility of your decisions and what it says about the state of the sport that you're judging in, or the state of whatever category you're judging. And I don't think if Anna Vanderbregen had finished even third, there would have been such a fuss. It's just ridiculous that she finished fifth. I'm sorry. It is ridiculous. And that, to me, is the problem. It's that, vote with your heart and vote with what you were watching the most. And we're all busy people. And so, there's only so much bike racing you can watch, even when it's your job to do so. But if you're sitting on one of these juries, it's your duty to pay attention to all of the rest of it, And I think the fact, like I say, I'm repeating myself, but finishing fifth is the problem for me.
Don't disagree with that. She's third on my list.
You are listening to the Cycling Podcast Féminin, brought to you by iwoca. Flexible loans built for small businesses. Join 50,000 customers taking on life's twists and turns and scaling new heights with iwoca. If you run a business, find out more at iwoca.co.uk. That's iwoca.co.uk.
Thank you very much indeed, and Merry Christmas to iwoca, who have sponsored us since March. We're very grateful to them for their support. They support shows across the Cycling Podcast family, and they're our headline sponsor. And if you run a small business, or if you know somebody who does, and you'd like to know about what iwoca can do for you, go to iwoca, iwoca.co.uk. Lots of information there about the loans that iwoca can offer. And if you go to Trustpilot and have a look at some of the reviews that people have left, they've got a very high rating indeed, in particular for customer service and quick decisions. They will usually make a decision within 24 hours on your loan application. So thank you very much indeed to iwoca. I mentioned at the start that we've got news of a team that we've followed closely from their start and our start. Drops. They have a new name and new sponsors. I'm going to actually leave it to Bob Varney to reveal the name and the sponsors. Although I have to give away that we'll hear from Bob Varney, then we'll hear from Yanto Barker and Tobin James of Tempur Beds and Mattresses. So a little bit of a clue there about who the sponsors are, but it's great news and a real feather in their cap in a year that has been absolutely very challenging, especially if you run a cycling team, to line up to get two sponsors. We had Bob on the podcast during the year where they'd had some success in the virtual Tour de France, and that really put them in the shop window, as it were, and they really tried to capitalise on that, and it seems to have worked, in particular with Tobin James, as we'll hear. Let's hear from them all, though. First, Bob Varney with the big reveal, then Yanto Barker and Tobin James. So, Bob, what is the team going to be known as next year?
This is the big reveal, isn't it, Rich?
The big reveal.
It's going to be Drops Le Col, supported by Tempur. Yeah, we're very happy. We're very happy with the situation where we're at. We're probably in the best place we've ever been, although probably not quite financially. I think if you look at the whole package with the product and value in kind and the cash, and more importantly, I think the commitment from all of our partners. All of our partners are pretty much in for 2 years. All bar one are legally signed up to 2 years. And there's an appetite, a joint appetite to all go in the same direction. And looking back, I'm not sure we've had that before. So that's incredibly exciting. The fact that we've got some stability for the next 2 years and, a shared vision of where we all want to go.
And what will it mean for the team, for the riders? Obviously, stability. Your team didn't get much racing this year, of course, because of COVID. But what does it mean for those riders and any additions to the team next year?
We've offered all 11 riders from 2020 extensions for 2021. And we've added 3 new riders. So we have a roster of 14. We're going to do kind of a 1.5 race programme, not quite a double programme. We'll do a bit more racing in the UK than our usual European races, or global races. We've raced in 20 countries in the last 5 years. So, we get more than our fair share of wildcard entries. All the British teams had struggles this year with COVID protocols, insurance, travel problems, not getting the right dispensation from British cycling. But we've overcome those. We've changed a few things, so we're ready to race. And We've been accepted into Settimana Valencia in February, so we'll start there, which we've done for every year that race has been held. Our 6th appearance there. We're very much looking forward to getting stuck in 2021.
My name is Jancho Barker. I am an ex-pro cyclist and founder of Le Col. Well, we've already sponsored Drops for technical clothing for the last couple of years. So we know the team well. We know Bob and Tom, obviously, who run the team. And, we've enjoyed the progress that they've made in the last couple of years. And that's something that we take quite seriously. I think it's really important that, the women's side of the sport is invested into equally as much as the men's. It's not as big in terms of just pure sales, but it is as important. So this year there was an opportunity. We've been probably one of the fortunate businesses who has fallen on the right side of the COVID world, in that we've been able to thrive in the current climate, and that has enabled us to step up certain aspects of our activity, and sponsoring the women's team was one of those things. So, we're really pleased to obviously have had the relationship with Drops already, and then be in a situation where we've got more to work with, and we can put that into the Drops project to hopefully make it bigger and more exciting. I think firstly they're British, and we're a British brand. I look at them as a kind of challenger team. They're not the biggest, they haven't got the biggest budget, but they don't let that hold them back. They don't let that curb their ambition, and they go out in every race to try and win, compete to the highest level. That's something I'm proud to be part of, that kind of attitude and approach. That's something that we obviously do in the business as well. The second aspect is they're a really sincere team. While we're obviously making decisions from a commercial point of view, having integrity and sincerity in the projects that we back is really important as well. We get on well with each other. They are a really good source of stories and content, and the fact that they work through their challenges are something that we share and we participate in with them. And so having that kind of project to talk about is, it lines up really well. We share values, we share, culture, and I think that's something that makes it really easy to join together and create a story around. Stories are obviously very important as well as results. I really enjoy the stories that we get from them, and like I said, it is, it's something. It doesn't need to be the highest level. It just needs to be sincere and have integrity, which they do to the highest level, and then that gives us really quality ingredients to be able to create, marketing campaigns around and justify why we sponsor them and why we're part of that project. So yeah, it's easy. It's an easy decision for me.
We're very fixated on women's racing and coverage of women's racing and all the rest of it, but lower down, how's it going in terms of selling kit to women and things like that?
Good question. And actually, I just got off a call where I saw the stats directly from the beginning of 2019 until now. We've over doubled our proportion of women's merchandise sales through the business. So I think that's a really good indication of where we started, the progress we've made, how when you do set out with an objective to improve something, you can make it better. And I do see that as an integral part of what's going to make women's cycling more popular, more commercial, more valuable. In turn, will hopefully lead to better salaries, more money in the women's side of the sport, and ultimately recognise the efforts that they make, equally with the men's. So yeah, I take that really seriously, and I think it's something that I feel proud of the progress we've made already, and hopefully we can continue on that trajectory to make it even better again next year and the year after. I'd like to make sure that Le Col is one of the brands of choice when any woman is coming into the sport and thinking, what do I need to wear, and how do I make sure I've got the right clothing for the cycling that I'm going to do. So yeah, I take that really seriously, and I think it's something that I feel proud of the progress we've made already, and hopefully we can continue on that trajectory to make it even better again next year and the year after. I'd like to make sure that Le Col is one of the brands of choice when any woman is coming into the sport and thinking, what do I need to wear, and how do I make sure I've got the right clothing for the cycling that I'm going to do.
Because I'm a cycling fan, I suppose, so I was reading Cycling Weekly. A usual weekend routine for me is on a Saturday morning having a cup of coffee, reading Cycling Weekly, and the exciting life that I lead. And I was reading an article in there about Bob and Drop Cycling, and obviously I followed them and knew a little bit about them, but obviously his challenge about getting sponsorship to keep going. And I really like his values, really, and trying to do the right thing.
Did you get in touch with him then, initially?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's all from his Cycling Weekly. I got to know his son, Tom, a couple of years ago, mainly because I bought some wallpaper, which turned out for the room where I do a bit of cycling at home in the winter. And it turned out that it was Tom and Bob's company. So I got talking to him at that point, but no more than that, really.
Wow.
But so I was obviously reading this article, and I thought, well, I'm sat in my kitchen. The least I can do is call them and find out, because, I like what they do and their values, and I thought it fitted really well with our company, and so that's what I did.
Were you looking for sponsorship opportunities in sport and cycling in particular?
No, not really. So Tempur we're the world's most favourite mattress brand. We're a global business. We're selling in over 90 countries around the world. So we're a substantial company. Spend a lot in marketing each year, but actually, particularly in the UK business, which is the business that I run, we haven't really. We thought about sponsorship, but we've never really gone into sponsorship at all. So we spend money on marketing and advertising, but no, we hadn't decided to do anything on sponsorship in any major way before now. We have worked with a number of sports stars, but not in a sort of an official sponsorship way, really. Mm-hmm. It's been more about us working with them, supplying them with products to help them in their sport. So it's really about, working with sports stars and getting them to use the products. That's really what we've done. But we've never actually done any sort of official sponsorship partnerships with a sports team really before. Working with sports people, we can obviously bring a benefit to their performance through, sleeping better and getting a better recovery. So with the partnership with Drops, actually for me to get this sponsorship approved internally, the most important thing for my colleagues was that we were actually going to get the athletes onto the product and they're going to use the product. So that for us is the most important part of the tie-up. So we're going to get products for the riders to sleep at home, but we'll also get products for them to take on the road with them. And we're also going to do some sleep trials with the team so that we can actually look and study how their performance is affected by sleeping better on the Tempur products. So that's the most important thing from us, for us in doing the tie-up.
The British contingent is the biggest contingent of the team, but it's become quite an international team. I know you've always had riders from overseas, but do you see it more as a sort of international team now? Is that the direction that you would like to go in?
The international team with a British heart, Rich. That's the way we like to bill it. I think we've had international riders on the team every year, bar the first year. 2016, we were all British, but then we had 4 international riders in 2017. This year we've got 7 Brits and 7 international riders, and we're from 6 international countries, or you could call them markets. So we're quite diverse. The feedback from the riders themselves is that they like that. The sponsors certainly like it as well. So it's a bit of a win-win, really. We've got some quite experienced riders. Emily Moberg, Mayo van Gielof, she's only 24, 25, but she's been racing since she was a child. And we all know how strong the Dutch are, so she's very experienced. Sarah Penton, she's been racing a long time. Danny Christmas, so Josh Loudon. We got some good solid role models in all genres of bike racing for the young ones, and we've got, I think, 6 under 21. So it's certainly an international team. We've always, since 2017, wanted to be thought of that. As I said earlier, we're racing 20 countries in the last 5 years, But we always want to be a British team as well, and we're hopefully going to do a bit more British racing next year as well.
We know Maria Martins well, of course, on the podcast. She seems like a great talent. Again, like with so many others, didn't see the best of her in 2020, perhaps. But anyone else on, especially of the young riders, anybody you think we should be looking out for this next year?
I've been paying attention to the track, Rich.
Well, okay.
Nata did incredibly well at the track. She's a really popular member of the squad. She's not a great Zwifter, to be fair, but she's a bloody good track rider. And I think she'll surprise a few people next year. Phineas Schmeckel, the young German girl, she started with us. She rode Valencia, she rode Nieuwsblad and Samin, and she had some racing with the German Federation under 23s on the track, but also on the road at the Euros in Brittany. Yeah, the Norwegian girls all had national level racing. Joss went over there for a block of training and racing at national level. So, yeah, so who's going to be the standout surprise rider for next year? I don't know. I think Tata will be. She'll surprise a few people, I think.
Well, that is brilliant news, isn't it? And Richard, congratulations on that wonderful, I think probably unintended pun leading into that, talking about a great feather in their cap when introducing a new mattress sponsor. Well done.
I'm pretty sure they don't use feathers. I'm pretty sure they don't use feathers these days, Orla. I think it's all memory foam, isn't it? In fact, they have a...
Yeah, that's what they're famous for. Well, I meant the matching pillows more than anything else, and the duvets.
I don't want to get into the details too much, but he did tell me about how they make their mattresses, and it sounded very impressive, very far removed from feathers.
What I just love about this interaction is that Richard said, Orla, you should definitely tell everyone that pun. While Richard was scheming and thinking, oh, she's talking about feathers. When
well, I only just thought of that later, actually. That came to me later. But no.
What about their achievements will live long in the memory foam?
Oh, yeah, love it.
It
is great news, though. Well done. Well done, Drops. Well done, Bob Varney and Tom, his son. And I caught up with a couple of their riders who'll ride for them next year in 2021. Jos Loudon. And you're going to have to help me here, Orla, one of your fellow Dutch women, Marjolein van te Geloof. Is that correct?
Close enough. Marjolein van te Geloof.
Oh, I think Bob and Tom have done really, really well. I think considering that everyone was so worried, I suppose, because obviously 2020 was just such a huge disappointment. And obviously put a lot of, it just was really worrying about the future of racing and sponsorship for teams, a lot of businesses not having the same sort of like expenditure and or budgets, I suppose, just having to cut back a bit. So yeah, we were all pretty uncertain about what it would look like. And given that Drops had some problems getting sponsorship in the last few years, it was definitely a worrying position to be in. However, it's almost like completely far exceeded expectations, really. And we've got really, really good collection of sponsors for 2021. And they're not just we're going to chuck in some cash or we're just going to chuck in some products. They're really good sponsors that are really really interested and actually want to be involved to make the team better. So I think we're really lucky. I think we can definitely benefit from having a bigger team. So like this 2021, we're hoping to we are taking on like more DSs and just more support staff, because it's almost like the setup is everything that you want there. It's just not enough. So you go to races and you've got a soigneur, but you kind of need more. You've got mechanics, but you need more. So it's like the setup's great, it's just not been quite enough, but that's what I think is going to be able to change next year, which is really, really good.
It's really exciting because I've been in contact with the team for a long time, and I knew they had already had some issues with getting all the money together to get really to the level that they want to be, and they've been working on it this year so hard to get that sponsorship and to get the trust of the sponsors to get involved in this project. And it's just amazing how what they reached. It's really excited about it. This is the most fun team I've ever been on. I think the tricky thing with pro cycling is that it gets really when it gets professional, it gets really intense, and people don't like it as much anymore as they did when they started. And I think the combination in Drops with the professionality and how they handle things, and also keeping the fun alive, is really important to keep especially young riders really ambitious and motivated. So that atmosphere that they create, that's a really big key for me to be in this team.
Chute à l'arrière du peloton, Cycling Podcast team car at the back of the pack, please. This is Lionel interrupting the Cycling Podcast Féminin to tell you that it is supported by HelloFresh. And if you're in the UK, you can get 50% off your first HelloFresh box and 35% off the next 3 with the code CYCLING at hellofresh.co.uk. I've been a HelloFresh customer for quite a while now, and so one of the things I really enjoy about it is that it all arrives in a box and all you have to do is the cooking, and it gives you the satisfaction of creating a really delicious dinner from scratch, but without all of the prep, the traipsing around the supermarket for all of the ingredients that you'll need. And also it gives you the very handy step-by-step recipe cards to follow. The instructions are really clearly written, they are easy to follow, and there's also a photograph that you can compare to what you're making to make sure that you are on the right track. And from start to finish, you can get a meal on the table in 20 or so minutes. A lot of the recipes are quick, but you're not compromising on flavour with that speed and efficiency, because a lot of the prep is already done for you. You just have to do the sort of the chopping and slicing and dicing, and then put everything together in the orders shown on the recipe card. And so with 30 or so meals to choose from each week, you never get stuck in a rut either. There's always something different that catches my eye, and there are some of my favourites that I return to time and again. But what I try to do when ordering a box is, if I'm ordering for 3 or 4 evening meals, I'll maybe pick a couple of safe bets that I've had before that I know are really going to deliver, and then I kind of stretch my boundaries a bit with the other 2. And one of the things that we've really been able to do over the past year or so is increase the number of vegetarian meals that we've eaten, just because I've felt like we ought to cut down a bit on meat, especially red meat, for a number of reasons. But one of the things that's always held me back when cooking vegetarian meals is just having that array of herbs, spices, sauces, condiments that you need to just make a meal really sing. I mean, that still goes for meat-based dishes as well, but I've certainly found that anything that I've made from scratch myself, sometimes a bit lacking. But the HelloFresh box delivers all of those things that really add that extra dimension to a meal. So if that sounds like something you'd like to give a go to hellofresh.co.uk, and as I say, you can get 50% off the first box and 35% off the next 3 with the code CYCLING. And once your offer period has expired, you're still looking at recipes that start from around £3.44 per person, so it's pretty good value too.
So next up we have an interview with the new UCI Cycling Esports World Champion, snappy title, Ashley Millman-Passio, who gets her virtual rainbow bands from the inaugural race during the week. And this is actually an interview that I conducted with her a little while back, and it was off the back of the interview that I did with Kevin Reza during the Tour de France. And we were talking about the lack of black riders in men's cycling in particular, and the lack of stance really by the UCI or ASO against racism, no equivalent of taking the knee, for example, or no literal taking of the knee. And Ashley then got in touch with me on Twitter, or sort of corresponded on a thread where we were discussing this, and said how she had been trying to do work in this respect for a number of years, and just how difficult it was. And so I then DM'd her and asked if she would come on and talk to us about what she's been trying to do to increase and encourage diversity in the female peloton. And we had a really interesting chat, because it sort of opened my eyes as to what kinds of things are being done already, but also her plans for the future, which to me sound really exciting. And Ashley's one of those riders who regular listeners to the podcast will know is incredibly intelligent. She comes across as very compassionate, knows the sport inside out, of course, and I think she's such an amazing asset to have in the sport, and certainly will be in retirement. So it was really interesting to hear her plans to feed back into the sport and into African cycling in particular when she retires, which of course is a long way off, because she's got at least a year in the fragmented rainbow bands to come. But here is Ashley Millman-Passio. What do you think about, first of all, the lack of grand gesture? Because it's not just been, the Tour de France has been the focus, but we've had a lot of women's racing as well. Do you think that there should be some sort of a sign from the sport that it's standing together against racism?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think the Tour de France is really the stage where this should be happening. Obviously, it is the most famous and the biggest bike race in the world, and so many eyes, on that race. So I definitely think that more could have been done and can still be done. It's a difficult one. It's a little bit of like a double-edged sword, because of course, as I said, I've been an advocate all my career of, wanting to see more representation, more specifically from the African continent, which of course would be mostly people of colour, in Europe and racing at the highest level of cycling. And for me, it's always been more around a drive that I believe that cycling is a form of empowerment for women, and I think many people share this opinion. You don't have to be a pro cyclist to benefit from the fact that by riding your bike, it generally helps us to build our self-confidence and self-belief, and makes us, stronger and more confident women, off the bike as well. So I've always been a believer that cycling would be a really powerful tool in terms of empowerment on the African continent. I've spent many years in my career. I have proposals together, sponsorship proposals about, it's not just about an African, giving African women or women of color on bike. It's about empowering these women to go back into their communities and to really influence change. I've just kind of always hit my head against a wall. I never really gotten anywhere. And it's not that I've given up on that dream. It's just that I've realized that maybe it needs to wait until I can put all my focus and all my energy into it, and that I can be the one who maybe has the team that finds these riders. Because as soon as you try and ask, team managers of European teams to include African riders, I do understand that it's a big challenge for them. But interestingly enough, in Africa, different, I think, to the United States, cycling is actually a big thing. There are a lot of people of color on bicycles, and racing is huge in some African countries. So bike racing in Eritrea and in Rwanda, for example, it's massive. I've raced there before at the African Champs, and I was totally blown away in Eritrea at the African Champs race. Like, literally the entire course was lined with people. People were on the top of the roofs of buildings to be able to watch the race. And I still have like a video somewhere, I think it's on YouTube, where I posted after the men's race, one of the Eritreans won, and how the crowds just lifted him up and, were chanting and going crazy. And I've never seen anything like that, even in Europe, and cycling is big in Europe, so there are countries in Africa where cycling is thriving, and there are plenty of people on bikes, but it is a question as to why they don't make it overseas to Europe. And I think that's more of a challenge on the UCI, to be honest, that cycling needs to become a global sport, because right now it certainly isn't. It's very much concentrated in Europe, and it is difficult for riders from other continents to make a career of it here.
So what do the UCI need to do then? What are the biggest barriers to overcome? Is it cultural? Is it educational? Is it talent spotting? Is it incentives to teams? How do you bring any of that talent and enthusiasm and everyday cycling through to the elite level that I guess then goes on to create role models for the next generation?
Yeah, I think it's opportunity. It's about someone creating the opportunity for these people, and it does take a form of, you have to understand, the culture of Africa, for example, so, Doug Ryder from what now is the Entity team, he's done really amazing work with the African continent. And I suppose maybe it's focused a little bit over the years because, having a grand team that, was going on the world stage became maybe a little bit, more attractive at the end of the day, which is a real shame, because it is opportunities like that, that creates, the next step, for these riders to come into an environment in Europe where people need to understand them and they need to be able to work with them. It's not just a case of getting the African people on bikes and bringing them over to Europe and expecting that they're going to survive. It's about creating the right environment for them to be able, to help them to thrive and to integrate themselves into what is a very different culture for them. So it does take proper commitment and I think passion. And I think that's what's missing, is that there isn't an understanding in Europe so much, for the African people and the African continent and their culture and what drives them. There's different things that motivate them as well. It's totally different to the European culture. So unfortunately what's missing is the people with passion and real commitment to make it happen, because it's not easy.
The Cycling Podcast Féminin is supported by Science in Sport. Science in Sport, fueled by science.
Thank you very much indeed to Science and Sport, our long-time sponsor since 2016. Right from the start, actually. They have been sponsoring the Cycling Podcast Féminin right from day zero, year dot, when it was just you and me, Orla, in your back garden.
In my back garden in
Beckenham,
South East London. Them were the days.
Those were
It's a
the
sunny
days.
day, as I recall.
Rose was just a twinkle in her eye.
Twinkle in our collective podcast glare.
Sorry, Rose.
I'll be all the better now for it, eh?
Anyway.
We're a family now. We're complete.
Until my quiz coup.
If you'd like 25% off all your Science and Sport products, if you'd like to join Ashley Moolman Passio on the Turbo Trainer and use the Turbo Plus range, which is designed for cycling indoors. She does a lot of rides, actually, Ashley, with public rides with other people, inviting them along to join her on Zwift. If you follow her on social media, you'll see the invitations. But you better stock up on your Science and Sport Turbo Plus range, and you get 25% off at scienceandsport.com. That is scienceandsport.com with the code SISCP25. I don't want to ask you to sing, because I'm anticipating you singing Merry Christmas or something at the end of.
I was going to say we'll have to sing us out of the podcast anyway. So see if those vocal cords.
Oh, I see.
So I know your voices are precious, delicate things.
Got my honey and lemon to.
You got your honey and lemon. Rose has got her wine. We're all sorted. I've got a bottle of beer, so I'm
known to improve singing, isn't it? Wine.
Look at you two
singing
swinging
voice
at the same time. I love it.
Yeah.
Known to improve confidence, anyway.
Really? Isn't it? Who's going to get drunk and snog Simon from accounts behind the bike shed? Richard.
Let me at them.
Where is he?
That's where he disappeared to.
Oh dear. Anyway. Moving on, somebody who's retiring from the peloton this year is Gracie Elvin. I spoke to her while she was still quarantining. Very strict rules in Australia, so she was literally stuck in a hotel room, quite enjoying it, I think, from the sounds of things, but also having time to reflect on her career. And I always enjoyed interviewing Gracie Elvin. She was involved in the Cyclist Alliance, still is involved in the Cyclist Alliance as well. As a rider, she devoted quite a lot of time and energy to that, and being a spokesperson for it as well, and raising some of the issues that they were addressing. So I was keen to catch up with her, reflecting on her career and looking ahead. Here is Gracie Elvin, the Michelin Scott rider who has now retired. So what are your plans now once you get out of hotel quarantine where you've been for 2 weeks? That's quite a kind of probably not the homecoming after retirement you would have dreamed of, but you get out tomorrow. What does the immediate future hold for you?
Yeah, hotel quarantine certainly isn't like the nice welcome home that I would usually get, but it's been nice to also just rest and relax. It's been a pretty stressful year in a lot of ways, so it's actually not bad to have that forced time to just slow right down and just chill out. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to being back home. I'm from Canberra, and just seeing my family and my friends and just really settling back into life and finding somewhere to live a bit more permanently. It's nice to not feel like I have to pack up a suitcase again in a month's time, going for training camps or for nationals or back to Europe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just finding my feet again. I think for me personally, I want to have like a year of being busy but also not doing anything that difficult in some ways. I think it's really important to have plans but not have any pressure for a little while, because I've been trying to be good at something or be the best at something really for a long time now. So it's nice to just take that pressure off and just figure out who Gracie is again and enjoy it and just have some fun. What
prompted the decision to retire? Is that something you'd had in your mind for a long time at the end of this year, or what were the circumstances that led to you to decide to call it quits?
Yeah, I've been really lucky to have quite a long career, so I knew that I was going to retire in the next few years. I was really just going on a year-by-year feel, because I don't think that there needs to be a use-by date for cyclists. Like you can see with my teammate Anna Meek, she's a lot older than a lot of the competitors, and she's killing it still. So it's really a personal decision based on like how you feel and if you're enjoying it, or if you have other goals that you want to do in your life. For me personally, I knew I really love cycling, so I've been really happy up until now. I've enjoyed the whole journey, which has been great. And I think the time at home, the few months that we had because of coronavirus this year, gave me that good little space away from the traveling circus, you could say, to get a bit of perspective and just realize that I was actually a lot closer to feeling like I needed a change than I realized. So yeah, it was a nice opportunity to have that feeling of, okay, well, I'm still happy, but I think I'm ready to move on and find some new challenges and adventures.
And you were able to finish with a little block of racing in Belgium where, you know, you've probably had your best results, and I know you've been based there as well. How did that feel? Was that you know, an unusual Spring Classics campaign in October? But I'm thinking of the last race in particular, De Panne. You know, it was a strange race in a way to end the season with, perhaps. But how did it feel? I mean, how did you feel that day lining up for your last race, and how fitting did it feel as a way of kind of bowing out?
Yeah, good question. I felt really lucky in the first place to finish my career in Belgium, because if it was a normal season, I wouldn't get that chance. I'd have to see out the season and do all the other races that may not suit me as well, or I don't enjoy as much. So having Flanders as the second last race was just awesome and really emotional. I cried at the end of it. And I didn't even have a good day. Unfortunately, I had some bad luck, but I still finished the whole course, even though I was well outside the time limit. And I thought that was going to be the most emotional day. And I think a lot of us also thought that De Panne might be cancelled. So when we actually did line up for that last race, or for my last race in De Panne, yeah, it was still really emotional. And it was a really stressful day, actually, just because it was crosswinds and it was just really fast and quite a lot of crashes and sprint finish and all that stuff that just makes you age about 10 years in a day. So, yeah, I was just absolutely exhausted by the end of it, mentally and physically, and I was just really emotional, and I think it really hit me then, so I was surprised. But, yeah, strange way to end your career, but also really nice. And I think the thing that was getting me more emotional than anything was riders coming up to me and patting me on the back and saying such nice things, and these are my rivals, these are my competitors, and to have that feeling of respect and having such nice things said to me was just mind-blowing and something I wasn't expecting in this whole process, and that just made it completely worth it to me to come back to Europe for these last few months and finish off the way I did.
And, I mean, you were involved as well in setting up the Cyclists Alliance. Do you intend to stay involved in that group and in cycling more generally?
Yeah, I really am passionate about cycling still. I think I can see the temptation to just remove yourself from the sport completely when you retire. There's a lot of personal reasons for that for everyone, but I don't know, I just love cycling. It's given me so much in my life. And most of all, it's given me some amazing friendships and confidence in myself, and I've really grown up a lot as a person in cycling, and I want to stay in touch with that. I really want to stay more in touch in Australia and the grassroots levels, but for sure I'll stay in touch with the international professional peloton too, and that includes the Cyclists Alliance. I'm not sure what capacities that my role will be in yet, but yeah, I think I'd like to help Iris and Carmen and all of the amazing team that we have. We've created such a strong group of people that are running the show now. I haven't even done much this year, which I have a bit of guilt about, but also I'm not worried at all because they're just doing such a great job. So I'd like to increase my capacity again with Cyclists Alliance and be part of a bit of a reinvigorated mentor program that we'd like to relaunch.
Well, that was Gracie Elvin, the Michelin Scott rider who's retired, and we hear a lot about athletes being kind of chewed up and spat out by the sport. We hear about how brutal it is, but it was very nice to hear Gracie reflecting on what cycling has given her as a person, I guess, in terms of confidence and self-esteem and so on. And I thought that was great to hear. It is hard and brutal, but there can be incredible life lessons, I think, to be learned, and real benefits from having lived through that. So good luck to Gracie and whatever she does next. Whatever we do next, we're going to need more than luck, because it's time for Rose's quiz. She was just telling us what a terrible loser she is when she takes part in quizzes or anything competitive, and that's why she is the quiz mistress tonight.
I'm also terrible at losing, but that's why I always win.
What's the format then, Rose? You're in charge now. It's over to you. You're now in charge.
I'm putting the elf hat on. Well, everyone, actually, I'm not going to put the elf hat on because the bell is too noisy. We have 3 rounds of quiz questions coming up. So there's going to be, at the end of each round, there's going to be a round winner. So it's not going to be about points scored in each round. It's going to be a round winner each round. Orla.
Well, could I ask if people want to play along at home, that they could keep their own scores and then send them to us on Twitter, for example? If
Don't
we can give a shout out to whoever the winner is.
You're only
Please
cheating
don't
yourself.
cheat in that. But you can play along and then let us know how you fared compared to us. You can be very smug and say how much better you are than either of us.
So I'm going to start with a little jingle, and then you may recognise it from somewhere. Here we go, it's Rose's Christmas quiz. Here we go, it's Rose's Christmas quiz.
Rose's Christmas quiz.
Rose's Christmas quiz. Here we go, it's Rose's Christmas quiz.
That's a great start. You're off to a great start, Rose.
It's quite hard to scan to that rhythm, so I'm quite impressed that I managed to get that done. Okay, so the first round 1, is called Motto or Notto. So what I'm going to present you both with, and for each one I want an answer from both of you, is a motto, or it could be like a slogan from a women's cycling team, or it could be their in Twitter hashtag. But what really sums them up as a team, the thing that they publicly put out to everybody as this is my team. So some of them are going to be genuine women's cycling team mottos. Some of them are going to be just stuff that I've made up, or they could be actually I'm not going to say anything more. So I need an answer from both of you, and there's bonus points if you can guess if it is a motto, which team it belongs to. But that's for the bonuses.
Do you get double negatives if you say it was a motto and you got that wrong and you guessed a team, so obviously that's wrong too? No.
Well, I do not have the mental maths to deal with that right now.
You're a glass of wine in, forget it. You can see why I'm terrible to play quizzes with.
Number 1, take the lead. Is that a motto or a notto?
I think it's a notto.
Orla?
I was going to say notto as well.
It is a motto of Canyon SRAM.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No way.
Take the lead. Oh, dear. Okay,
sorry.
So 0. Okay, well, that's easy for my maths anyway. Okay, next one. Pink Girls Forever.
Richard, you go first.
It's got to be Park Hotel Valkenburg. No, I think it's a notto.
Orla?
I think it's a motto.
Correct, Orla.
Oh, no.
Point for Orla. That is B Pink's cycling team's motto. Pink Girls Forever. Okay. Third one. Ignite the fight.
Oh!
What are we saying?
I think that's a notto, but it should be a motto.
Richard?
Notto.
Correct. It's a notto. Very good.
But it's there for the team.
But it's very good. I know when I came up with that, I thought, yes.
I think an Italian team will probably take that.
Yeah, ignite the fight. But you have to pay me if you want it, everyone. Bob Varney, if you want that, then you have to pay. Okay. Ride and shine.
Notto. Notto.
That's a notto. The ones that aren't real are too good. That's
You're wrong.
Ride
You're
and
both
shine.
wrong. You should be giving the credit to FDJ.
Oh no!
On every tweet they write hashtag ride and shine.
I'm not paying enough attention to
FDJ,
these.
that's brilliant. You should do that.
That one's very good, isn't it?
You should really use that.
Oh god.
Okay, we're not doing very well on the old point system here. Number 5.
We are. I'm winning.
Yeah, that's true. Number 5. Hashtag full of gas. Is that a motto or a notto?
Oh my God. I think that's actually a motto. I think that's actually someone's motto. I'm going to go with that.
Notto.
It's a notto. So a point to Richard.
Oh, we're back.
It should be.
Back even
should
Stevens.
be.
Just by saying Notto to every single one, I'm now drawn level. Brilliant.
1-1. Brilliant. This one. Remember, we're thinking women's cycling teams here. Dream, believe, climb your blue mountain.
Go you, Richard.
What are you saying?
Notto.
I think that's a motto.
Richard is right. Because
he pulls ahead.
I tell you what.
Where did the Blue Mountain come
Dream,
from?
believe, climb your blue mountain was Vini Fantini had it on the back of their bus in about 2014. And it has lived with me ever since.
I thought it sounded familiar.
I did say women's cycling, but I did think that might have been a little cheeky. Come on, Orla, you can pull it back.
Thanks, Rose. Thank you.
Last question in this round. Forcing forward. Is that a motto or a notto?
Well, Richard's obviously going to say notto again because he said notto forever.
No, I'm going to say motto this time. I'm going to say motto.
Orla?
Well, I want to say motto too, but then I think should I be strategic? But so do the points? Each person can win a round, yeah?
Yeah. So you don't carry your points
forward.
in
a round. If you lose a round, does the number of points you lose by matter?
No,
ultimately
you just lose the round.
Then I'll say notto because even if I say motto, I've still lost.
Clever.
So I'm going to say notto.
Very clever. Richard is right again. It is Vizcaya Durango, forcing forward. So Richard wins round 1, motto or notto.
Well done,
Storming
Richard.
comeback.
Well done.
Incredible.
Put your tongue in, boy. No
Brilliant.
one wants to see that at the Christmas party.
Brilliant.
Okay. It is round 2. This one is called The Number Cruncher. So in this one, I'm going to give a question, and the answer will be a number, and whoever gets the closest number takes the point. Okay, are we ready? You don't look very ready, but we don't have the time for you not to be. So, here is round 2.
Christmas is coming.
Number Cruncher. Number 1. How many national titles has Christine Mazurus won ever? This is road, so we're talking road and time trial titles for Luxembourg, not cyclocross. Cyclocross, oh my God. Road and time trial
Not bicycle cross.
Won
these are just like
Christine Mazurus.
numbers out of the air.
Yes. Well, I know,
I'll
go on, Richard. Go on, start us off.
I'll say 11.
Okay. Orla?
I'll say 8. 8. I should have picked a number that wasn't so difficult to say in Northern Ireland. I'll say 9. 8. I say 8.
Richard wins. The answer is 25. With her first winning a Luxembourg title, I think that was a time trial, in 2007.
Wow.
Long old time.
Are we talking just senior titles here, or are these?
Oh my God.
You've won the point.
Yes, senior titles.
Senior
I'm
titles.
saying that, but
wow.
I should maybe recheck, but I think that is the case.
Wow. No, I'm not really that pleased to win that because I was a long way off.
Well,
but anyway,
take your positive
a win's a
way you can
win.
get 'em,
I'll
Richard.
take it.
I'm even less
Yeah, I was
pleased to
gonna say.
lose by even more way
I'll
off.
bank the points nonetheless.
Okay. Number 2. The Tour of California was on hiatus this year. Hopefully it will come back in the future. But how many words long was the official name of the race in 2017?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I remember it being long, but I had to actually look it up. So, I shouldn't have given away that way. Oh my God. Right. Go on, Orla. Do you want to start us off this time?
I can't remember what all the words were.
You don't need to remember the words.
10.
You just need to remember the number.
I'm going to say 10.
Okay.
10. It was more than 6 anyway, because remember 6 of the words, and that's not a complete title.
Don't give me
too
much.
I'll say
Orla.
9. I'll say 9.
9. The winner is, with the correct answer, is Orla.
Woohoo!
10 words.
Oh wow, Orla just came alive. She was really
back in the game.
She scored an equaliser just before half time.
That was 10 words. Amgen breakaway from heart disease, women's race empowered with SRAM.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that was that race. Okay. Well, 1-1. This is very exciting. Okay. Number 3.
We'll let the listeners be the judge of that.
Yeah.
If they're still with us.
3. By how many seconds did Anna Vanderbregen win the World Championships time trial this year?
Richard's turn to go first.
Go on, Richard, you have to start us off this time.
35.
Okay. Orla?
So all I need to do is one number either side, really.
That is true.
35 seconds. 35 seconds. I'll go 39.
Richard has it. She won
sugar.
by 15 seconds to Marlon Reusser.
Wow.
Which has surprised
15.
me. Really surprised me.
Well, this is what's annoying about someone else going first, actually, because my guess was 11.
No.
And then, yeah.
Well, you say that now.
11.
Should have
You
just
say that
had
now.
instinct.
Point for that.
For thinking it. Well, you can go first. Next question.
Yeah, you get to go first this time. Okay. How many of the Droit sisters were racing cyclists?
Wow. 3.
Okay.
4.
The answer is 4.
Yes.
Richard.
Goodness sake.
What the hell?
We had them on the podcast a few years ago.
Oh my God. You can't
when they were
say
riding, when they were doing Ride London, we had all 4 on.
Blimey.
I'll have to listen back to that one then.
I think Orla interviewed them.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
No, I don't think you did.
They are Jessie, Kelly, Lenny and Demi.
Oh, brilliant.
But, well, okay. So we're going into question 5. Okay. How many top 5s did Lottie Kopecky get this season?
Oh.
A lot.
Who's going first? Top 5s. I can't remember who's going first. Must be Richard.
I think. Oh no,
Richard.
yeah, me. Yeah, she had a very good year. I would say. It's hard to know because 15. I'll say because there were so few races, but I think 15. I'll say.
Orla?
I'll go 14. I don't think it was as many as that.
Well, the answer is 11. So that's a point to Orla. Oh, this is very tight now. Very good. Okay. Question 6. Oh, this is quite hard, actually. Well, all of them are quite hard, to be honest. I didn't know the answer to any of them, but I did look them up. Okay. What percentage of riders who are on the start line finished Strade Bianche within the time limit this year? Do you remember it was a very hot, very dry, very dusty day, but what percentage of the riders that started the race finished it within the time limit?
Who's going first?
It must be. I think it must be Orla.
I think it's me.
Yeah.
I will say 20%.
Richard?
15.
The answer is 37%. So Orla has drawn level. So it all comes down to this final question for round 2. Oh my God.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm surprised at that. I thought it was absolute carnage.
I think it was.
It was absolute carnage.
But I think it was actually the lowest finishing percentage of any women's Strade Bianche, but it's just,
Yeah.
Number 7, the decider. How many Dutch riders are there in the UCI World Rankings Top 20? So this isn't the Women's World Tour Rankings. This is their just UCI rankings.
20. No.
But how many of those top 20 riders are Dutch?
This is not fair. This is weighted towards Orla. this question.
Living in the Netherlands doesn't mean I absorb all Dutch information.
Why can't you ask how many Scottish women are in
What do you think the answer is?
That'll be a bit easy, Richard.
Hold on, I've actually just realised that I didn't write the answer down. Give me 1 second. I'm going to lose my quiz mistress crown. Hold on.
Orla, you're not cheating there, are you, Orla?
I wrote it somewhere.
I've got a pen. I'm trying to write down names. Look.
Oh.
I've only written one so far.
Okay, I think... Oh, hold on, is it on here?
That's very impressive if you know the women's top 20 off by heart.
Okay, no, I've got the answer. Okay.
No, I'm writing down the Dutch riders I think would be in it.
Yeah. Well, is it whose turn is it to go first? Is it me?
It's Richard's.
I'll say 15. I'll say 14.
Okay. Orla?
I'll say 13. I think it's probably lower than that.
The answer is 8. So Orla wins the round.
She's happy.
Yeah.
She's happy with that one. Wow. Lockdown in Holland for 5 weeks. No worries. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. I should explain. We started this conversation before we recorded, and I was somewhat in despair because the Prime Minister here announced just before we started recording that we were going into our strictest lockdown yet over Christmas and for 5 weeks. So I'm doing homeschooling with a 6-year-old and an almost 2-year-old toddler causing chaos. So I need this. That's my sympathy vote, Richard.
The answer is just to get Rose to do a quiz every night.
Yes.
Yay!
Something
Which
to look
Orla
forward
wins. Not a quiz that Orla loses. It would have to be just a quiz that Orla wins.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's just even more shit.
I should name actually the 8 riders. Anna Vanderbregen. Well, let's see if you can name them. Who wants to name them? Let's not do that.
Anna Vanderbregen.
Let's try that. Okay. Anna Vanderbregen.
Yeah.
Marina Vos.
Yeah.
Annemiek van Vleuten.
Yeah.
Lorena Wiebes.
Yeah. This is why I said I should just name them.
Is Ellen Van Dijk?
Yes.
Is she in the top 20?
Van Dijk.
Come on, we can do this.
Just it's just someone who's won like one of the biggest classics of the year.
Chantal Black.
Yeah, and someone who finished on the podium in the same race.
Amy Peters.
Yeah.
One more.
And I can't think.
Give us the first letter of the first name.
Okay, this person, very young, talented rider.
Not yet.
No. Very good in the hilly races like the Ardennes Classics.
She's just gone out of my head. Park Hotel Valkenburg, moving to... What's her name, though? I've forgotten her name. Oh, my God. What is it? Oh, no. That's terrible.
Oh! Demi Vollering.
Demi Vollering.
We can see you Googling, Richard.
Yeah, I was desperate.
Did you Google? I got that in my
Orla, did you not see
machine?
The blue light suddenly went on Richard's face.
I didn't have time.
He was bathed in blue light.
Demi Vollering, of course, joining SD Works for next year.
Oh, yeah?
The team formerly known as Boels Dolmans.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised that she's not going to Jumbo-Visma, her former boss at
But at the
Park
same time,
Hotel.
SD Works isn't that much of a surprise either, is it? You know, if it's not going to be Jumbo-Visma.
True.
Round.
Yeah. It's evenly balanced.
Apiece.
It's poised.
That's incredible. Couldn't have asked for
Down
better.
to the wire.
So this round might go down like a lead balloon. Round 3. Cryptic Criterion. Okay.
Calling accidental partridge.
Happy Christmas! This is how to have fun, eh? In the festive season during lockdown.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cryptic criterion. That's very hard to say. Okay, I'm going to have to give I'll give a little example for this. So all of the answers are going to be the surnames.
Cryptic?
Well, the clues are cryptic. But all the answers are going to be surnames of cyclists. So I'll give an example.
Phew, thank goodness for that.
So you might have heard of a few of them, hopefully. I'm going to give you an example from... the others are women, but this one I'll give you as an example, a men's peloton example, okay? So we're looking for a surname. A painting on a Ford Transit.
Van Aert.
Very good. So that is how it's going to roll.
Oh, I like this.
Okay, good.
I like this.
Here we go. Number 1. And it's just if you get the answer, shout it out. That's the way it's going to roll. Okay, number 1.
Oh, Orla's connection's gone down.
Okay, number 1. What you would say to your grandmother to explain how you changed your hair colour. So how you change your hair colour, and if you were saying it to your grandma or granny.
I've got words, but together they don't make a surname that I can think of.
So if you're changing your hair colour, what might you use to do that? And if you were telling...
Yeah.
You're telling your granny, grandmother, grandma, what else might you call her?
Diger.
No.
I don't call my granny Gert.
Diamond, yes! So that was
cryptic. That's
cryptic.
I had written down Digran, Nana
Digran,
Nana Die. It basically sounds like I want to bring upon the death of my grandmother.
See, I did think that I was going to do that, but I do have one. I do have one living nan, and was too superstitious to say what you'd say before you killed your grandma.
Yeah,
but now I've said it.
yeah,
but anything
I get it.
happens, I've killed my nan. So,
Die.
okay,
Well,
very
hopefully
good.
not.
Okay, a cue.
Is your grandmother called Gert? That's a very unfortunate name for an elderly lady.
Okay, number 2, a queue in which a Ford Transit is followed by the head honcho of someone's company. You know, the top manager, the
Van den Bos.
Yes.
Yep, Van den Bos.
Very good, Van den.
Oh, the look of
Bos.
disgust in Richard's face makes it even sweeter.
Very good. Okay, come on, Richard, pull it together now. Number 3, male who has cherry liqueur. See their knowledge of their fruity liqueurs.
I've got that, I think.
Male. So, yeah, put the cherry liqueur first and then put male.
Okay.
You know, some people put a little bit of it, but it's got a shorter name when you put it in a bit of champagne, and this cherry liqueur, you put it in a bit of champagne for a cocktail, but it's a shortened name of it. It's like Austrian or something. Can anyone name any cherry... Not maraschino, though. Can anyone name any cherry liqueurs?
No.
Cassis.
No.
That's black currant, isn't it?
Oh, right, that's what
okay,
I'm
this is
stuck
the
on.
problem then, maybe.
I'm a non-drinker these days.
I feel like I've been found out.
You have like a
this
little,
round.
you get a little champagne cocktail called a something royale with a bit of this liqueur in it and a bit of champagne. Okay. But it's a slightly longer, that first word that I missed is slightly longer, and then the male bit.
Kirchmann.
Oh,
Kirchmann.
I got there first.
I think Orla got there.
I said it first.
I think Orla got there, but that was pretty much a tie. That was...
Oh, that's a good one. That was a good one.
Okay, 3-0 to Orla. Come on, Richard. Okay, question 4. If you had to put the joint that is in the middle of your leg into the hold luggage on a plane, what would you do? Like, you go to a specific desk because you've got to put this joint that's in the middle of your leg into the hold, which is called... But it's just the joint in the middle of your leg.
Cecchini.
Oh, he's got it!
Elena
Cecchini, very good.
Very good. I had knee check-in.
Oh,
and
no.
Knee.
Check-in knee.
Who does she ride for?
Oh, Rosies are wonderful. Well done.
It's bloody hard.
They are.
They are hard.
Very clever.
They are hard.
I love a word play.
Okay. Right, number 5. This is what you ring if you're on holiday in a tent. If you're on one of those holidays where you go, you know, into a tent, one of those type of holidays, and you ring something, what would that be called?
Campbell.
Yes! Tenniel Campbell. Campbell. Oh,
yeah.
4-1. You can still win, Richard. Oh, no, you can't win. No, sorry, it's over for you. I'm just
Yeah!
But
I feel cheated.
you can at least have a little, maybe get a little bit of your self-respect back.
You can salvage your honour at least, Richard. claw back some Christmas dignity.
Yes. Or just general dignity is also fine. Not just for Christmas.
Doesn't
I think
have to be
that's beyond
seasonal.
me.
Dignity doesn't have to be for Christmas. It could be for life.
Okay, let's do these last two anyway. So number 6, what people put filler in the area around their mouth for? So what do people want when they put filler in their mouth area? What do they want out of it? It's which area are they putting it in, and then what the quality of the such thing is.
Oh,
But it's just one of them, one of these, and the quality of them. Like a lovely firm buttock.
on your face.
On your face. So in this, the body part comes first, and then the quality that it has.
I'm sure people at home are screaming this name out. I mean, I've got the first word.
I think this word would be, the descriptive word would be most used on, I would say a bum. If you're describing someone's bum.
Lippert.
Yes! Lippert.
Of course.
Lippert. Leanna Lippert.
Oh, wow.
It was when we started talking about lip fillers that we lost Richard. He just so...
My brain wasn't made for this.
Okay.
All right, you've got one last one.
You've got one more.
One last one, let's do it.
Okay, number 7. This is the time at which you eat fibre-rich cereals.
Breakfast.
No, but
Oh, yeah.
Jane Breakfast is signed for...
I forgot the name of the
Jane Breakfast riding for Movistar next year. Watch out for her.
It's the fibre-rich cereals comes first, and then something related to time.
Is it wheat 9 o'clock?
Lucia Muesli Breakfast.
Think really fibre-y, like you get the flakes and you get another kind of shredded type.
Bran.
Oh no.
Wheat.
But you're almost there, Orla. But think of a time.
Brand.
Lucinda Brand.
No. Yeah, okay. Richard wins because he shouted louder. No, it's not Lucinda Brand. So Bran is the first bit.
Bran lunch.
You're like, it's hey everyone, it's Bran.
Bran night.
No,
Bran morning.
You're gonna do it for 60 minutes.
Bran time. Bran minute. Bran hour. Bran hour.
Yes.
You know that it's Lisa Brenner, don't you?
Yes, I do, but I had to get around it somewhere. I don't know any Bren.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Oh, that was poor. That one, poor.
That was annihilation by
I'm
Orla.
gonna-
Look at that.
It really is Rose Manley.
I'm gonna go to the Supreme Court to try and overturn this result. We should have stopped the count at the end of the first round.
Very good though. Well done, well done.
Yeah, but we did it.
Well done,
We did
well
it.
done,
So
Rose.
we'll just recap there on the scores for the last round.
Yes,
as well.
sorry. So on that round, it was 6 to Orla, 1 to Richard.
Two, I think.
Well, 1 and a sympathy point.
1.5 sympathy point. 'cause he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you did get it. Yeah, you did get it, but you weren't. Yeah, okay.
got it right,
Yeah,
but
true,
not
true.
before.
Okay, we can say 6-2.
10
It's fine because you still lost. So
Well, yeah, let's go for 6-2.
Let's
That's
call
not
it
humiliating.
6-2.
That's good enough for me.
yeah.
I shouldn't have let her back in round 2. That was a mistake I made.
So there you go.
I gave her the Dutch riders in the top 20 question. That was calculated just
that
to keep
was
the
your gift
suspense
to
going
me.
for round 3.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But well done, Orla. 2 rounds to 1. There we go.
Oh, thank you. And now the 5 weeks don't look so gloom. I can look back on this night and remember I'm still a winner.
This will keep you going for the dark nights ahead. Well, no, that was excellent, Rose. Well done. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think
very
you'll have
good.
given people a lot of fun listening.
Maybe if they're still here, if they're before listening.
If you're still
indeed they
still
are.
here, happy 2021. We're there already.
And I did. That was 21 questions,
Oh, wow.
which I hadn't
Very
thought about
good.
until just now. But there you go, 2021. 21 questions.
We've already
really
said goodbye to
impressive.
2020. That's good enough for me.
Well done. That was excellent. Well done, Rose. You're
Thank you very much.
cracking quiz master.
Yeah.
We should wrap things up for 2020. What a year it's been.
Can you think back to, which I can't, but our Christmas episode last year? Can you imagine if we could have had any idea of what was in store? It's just been such a crazy year on so many aspects.
And we had some very positive news tonight about Drops and about other teams as well. The sort of worst forecast for how the effect this would have on pro cycling, which is our interest, have not really come to pass yet. And in fact, the women's side of the sport looks pretty healthy for next year. We haven't even mentioned a big interview that Annemiek van Vleuten's given in Spain about her joining Movistar and her reasons for doing so. And one of them, she said, was that she didn't go to Trek Segafredo because she cares about the sport, and she felt that they would be too dominant if she was there. That's probably true. I mean, we did see this year a very strong Trek Segafredo team who seem to be getting better and better. And what we're looking at next year is a very kind of evenly balanced sport, aren't we? I mean, Boels Dolmans were resurgent this year. Movistar with Annemiek van Vleuten really stepping up. Mitchelton Scott will still be strong. Jumbo-Visma coming in.
It's such an exciting prospect for next year. I think it's going to be, I mean, you can't know, can you? Because we didn't know what was coming this year. But from this standpoint, it looks like there's so much to look forward to. So much. I can't wait. And I can't wait to see how all those different teams fare, and how SD Works transfer from having been Boels Dolmans and how Jumbo-Visma are going to do. It's going to be so interesting. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well,
different team dynamics.
That's a very positive note to end a dismal year on. so,
but it's not been a dismal year of racing, has it? We've been very lucky
the racing's
to be
been cracking
working and following this sport and to witness the moments that we have. It's been a joy amidst all the gloom, actually, and I don't say that flippantly or in a trite way. It's been a big part of my lifeline this year is the cycling action.
Yeah, and
cycling. Really.
Anna Vanderbregen might not have won the Velodor, and frankly, who really cares? But she did give us probably the best single image of the year, the shot of the year, when she was away on her own in Imola at the World Championship, and we got the similar shot the following day with Julian Alaphilippe, but the lighting was better. There was just something it was just perfect. That shot from the helicopter of her riding along the summit and being kind of picked out against the skyline. It was an amazing picture.
And she may not have won, but at least she's number 3 in your eyes. Hey, Richard, that's something to take home for Christmas.
That will see her through Christmas as well in this Dutch lockdown, I'm sure. Anyway, shall we wrap things up for 2020?
Oh, I think we better.
Let's say cheerio to 2020, and we'll be back in 2021. Well, Rose will.
Yes. Yeah. I'll just have a quiz podcast. That's all.
I'm not sure what Orla and I will be doing, but Rose will be back with her new team. And she'll build them up for a year, then humiliate them in her quiz at the end of the year. Yeah. And so it will go on.
I think I've survived, Richard. I think it's only you.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
The Putin of the podcast.
From our garden in Beckenham to our little podcast child, really, as Rose has become, and now she's
we've had a good innings. We've had a good innings.
Off her father. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, good luck, Rose. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And see you on the road. Are the pair of you going to sing us out?
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Your miming doesn't work on podcasts.
And a Happy New Year.
Good tidings we bring
to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
What a treat for the ears. Thank you, Orla. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Thank you both. It's been a joy.
Yes.
See you in 2021.
Looking forward to it. Bye.